Hello and welcome back to my layout. In this video I want to try something new because I'm going to have a go at operations. Earlier today this Union Pacific Way Freight dropped off some cars in Fairview's yard, and now they're sitting waiting for the local switcher to come and switch them around, sort them ready to drop off at the various industries in the town. I'd like to start by saying a big thank you to Thomas Klimoski for his kind words and for sharing his template of a switch list on his website, which is what I've used to set up a basic session which will let me get on with today's jobs. So here's my switch list for today's jobs. You can see that we're going to be dropping off 5 new arrivals in the various industries listed down. So the crew have arrived at the yard, they've picked up the paperwork for the day, and now they're ready to fire up the local switcher 5318. Let's get started. The first thing we've got to do, of course, is to head over to the yard and pick up the cars that need switching today. We'll have to have a look at the switch list and decide how to prioritise our jobs to make sure that we do the tasks as efficiently as we possibly can. I'm conscious that one of the things that Tom Klimoski has recommended is that you try and slow down your switching, that you make sure that you pause before coupling up, that you allow time for brake tests, for the crew to jump down and throw switches, to test air brakes before you pull away, all those things. So I want to try and do that today. I'm conscious though that this could be a very long and I suspect quite boring video if I just film everything in true time. So what I'm going to do is cut out some of the runs between the industries, some of the toing and froing that perhaps makes it less interesting to follow. So we're heading off first of all with 2 cars, a boxcar and a tanker, over here to Rocky Mountain Manufacturing. We've got to pick up the blue chassis boxcar that's already there at spot 2 on the warehouse, and we're going to swap that over with the Railbox boxcar, and then we've got to put the tanker with fuel into the side spur. First job, pick up the chassis boxcar and just place it out on the siding to clear the way for the new arrivals. Right, with the boxcar out of the way now, we can put the new loads into the factory. Okay, and now we've dropped off the two new cars. We can hook up again to the car that we've just pulled out of spot 2, and we can take that back to the yard. Next, we run round the train because we've got to come in from the other end of the yard now to shove the other cars, which are going to be distributed amongst the industries closest to the yard itself: a scrap yard, scrap merchants, an ADM corn syrup processing distribution unit, and the team track. So the first thing we're going to need to do is to shove the new cars and just spot them temporarily along the team track so that we can come into the scrap dealers and take away the car that's going to be swapped out and taken back to the yard in due course, ready for onward shipping. So now we pull this wagon. It's a Canadian National gondola, and we're going to place that temporarily just on the lead that comes into this spur, just to get it out of the way for a minute while we shove the new gondola into the scrap dealers. Next, we have to do the same process as we did with the scrap merchants, namely pull out the empty tanker, and we'll spot that alongside the Canadian National gondola out on the lead track. And then once that's out of the way, we can start to spot the new wagons, the new cars, into their correct locations. First off, the tanker loaded with corn syrup gets placed alongside the transshipment shed for the ADM facility. And then the box car, which has a load of bricks, is going to be spotted alongside the ramp of the team track. Okay, so if we have a quick look at our paperwork, look along the switch list, and we can see that we've completed all the tasks. What we have to do now is head back to the yard and just assemble now the cars so that they are ready for pickup when the next way freight comes through town. And that's it. The day's jobs have been completed by the local switcher crew. They can head back to the yard office. Their job is done for the day, and all that remains is for us to reflect on some of the lessons learned from the session. Well, I hope you've enjoyed watching along as I've made this little film about my efforts to do some contemporary prototypical operations. I've certainly enjoyed myself. That's the first lesson. Switching is really fun. But I've also realised there's a couple of areas where I've got to improve things on my layout. I suppose that's actually quite a valuable thing to learn from an operating session. There are some issues with track work that's perhaps not laid as well as it should be, and there seem to be a couple of problems with electrical continuity with my switches. But I've also noticed that I'm going to have to do some more work on checking that all my couplers are compatible, because there are a few problems like that. But I've really enjoyed myself. I hope you've enjoyed watching along. Thanks very much for joining me. And if you've enjoyed what you've seen, then please do like and subscribe. Cheers for now, and hope to see you again.